Hello, dear subscribers and guests of our channel. We continue the series of episodes with predictions from seers of different eras, among whom are shamans, clairvoyants, saints, and other prophets. In today's episode, we will tell you about the predictions of the French girl nicknamed the French Vanga Kaede. So, in a world tired of constant anxiety, the voices of those who not only analyze what is happening but seem to look beyond the horizon are becoming louder. Among such prophets, special attention was drawn to a mysterious girl from the south of France, Kaede. She has already been called the French Vanga for her frighteningly accurate predictions, which even the most die-hard skeptics listen to. Her prophecies about the end of 2025 were long carefully hidden from the general public. But recently, they have begun surfacing in the media, causing more and more resonance. According to Kaede, this fall will mark the beginning of a chain of irreversible events capable of radically changing the entire world order, economy, power, technology, and the very essence of human life. The world is on the edge of a great schism. Kaede is convinced 2025 will be the last relatively calm year for our civilization. Already this fall, she says, a chain reaction of crises and deep transformations will begin to unfold across the world. Old political alliances will begin to fall apart, and the financial system built in the 20th century will no longer withstand the growing internal pressure. I see empires collapsing, built on lies and exploitation. The time is up, she said 5 years ago. Back then, these words might have seemed metaphorical, but today they are taking on more and more concrete form. In her predictions, it all begins with the collapse of the largest U.S. banks, followed by the fall of several tech giants, the pillars of the modern digital economy. At that moment, says Kaede, millions of people will suddenly realize just how deeply they depend on systems that shape their everyday reality, and will begin to massively abandon technologies that cause anxiety and mistrust. This will become the starting point of what she calls a technological retreat, a shift from soulless digitalization to a more lively and human way of life. The U.S. and Europe are under threat: financial and energy collapse. According to Kaede, by the end of 2025, the dollar will lose its status as the world's reserve currency. This will cause real chaos on global markets. But most of all, she says, the West will suffer. One of her vivid metaphors is the Statue of Liberty standing knee-deep in water. This image symbolizes not only climate change but also the deep moral and political devaluation of the old symbols of world order. In Hubert's prophecies, the winter of 2026-2027 will turn into a time of great cold and acute energy shortages for Europe. People in once stable and prosperous countries will be forced to gather in schools, gyms, and community centers just to stay warm. The energy system, she says, will not be ready for either climate challenges or political upheavals. The old elite will leave the stage, and in their place will come new leaders not burdened by ties to transnational corporations. This will be a painful but necessary turning point at the beginning of a deep transformation of Europe's political landscape. America, the heart of the future world. Kaede says that we will never return to our usual way of life, as the world is about to go through a series of military conflicts. This will transform not only the global order but even the map of the Earth. Continents and oceanic landscapes will change. Amid the collapse in the West, Kaede sees strength in America, a force going through purification and rebirth, despite being distant from our country. The young Frenchwoman continues to see the fate of Russian territories with her inner vision. I see the Russian bear straightening its shoulders, shaking off the chains of the past, she said. Kaede sees America as a country entering a period of deep transformation and rebirth. According to her, a new era will begin for America starting in 2025, combining spiritual renewal and scientific technological breakthrough. She predicts that America will experience a powerful economic rise. Strengthening of the national currency and the gradual lifting of international sanctions will create conditions for the growth and restoration of industry and science. However, at the same time, social contradictions may intensify with a growing gap between different layers of society and protest sentiments associated with these changes. Spiritual revival is one of the key aspects of her visions. America, Kaede says, will turn again to its roots and traditions, which will become a source of inner strength and resilience. This revival will strengthen national identity and help people find harmony with themselves and the world around them. A special place in her prophecies is given to the emergence of a new leader, a man of the people, possessing a deep spiritual connection to American culture and, at the same time, understanding modern technology. This leader will play a key role in uniting the country and forming a new Eurasian Union, which will encompass vast territories from Europe to the Far East. Kaede also said interesting things about America from a very young age. One day she was shown a photo of the current president of America, and the girl described him as very big, strong, and richer than a king. The French girl saw that the politician would decide to leave his post on his own, and that his name would remain in world history forever. His deeds would be remembered even 100 years later. In geopolitical terms, Kaede sees America as a key player, influencing global politics and the economy. She assumes that the country will become a kind of bridge between East and West, and that a new balance of power in the world will be born right there. This prophecy about America is not just a prediction, but a call for inner development and readiness for changes that will affect all spheres of life, from spirituality to high technology. Similar forecasts were made by Vanga, who gave America a special role in global world changes. The clairvoyant saw the country as rich and prosperous by the middle of the 21st century. By that time, old architecture and the old way of life will be gone. They will be replaced by technologies that will help build a new world where our descendants will live without wars. The peak of the technology crisis against humanity. One of the most alarming images in Kaede's prophecies is what she calls the Great Confrontation with Technology. It's not about a sci-fi uprising of machines, but a much subtler and more dangerous threat: the loss of control over artificial intelligence. Systems created by humans will begin making decisions that defy the logic of their own creators, she warns. According to her, by the end of 2025, artificial intelligence will reach such a depth that it will not only be able to accurately predict human behavior, but also anticipate their desires, influence their choices, and shape decisions even before they are consciously made. This will not just be a challenge to privacy, it will strike at the very idea of freedom. Because if every action we take is predetermined, if choices are formed from the outside, then free will itself disappears. Kaede calls this phenomenon the invisible slavery of the New Age, signs of the approaching shift. According to Kaede, the world has already begun to send signals of an impending global turning point. The first of them, strange atmospheric phenomena, northern lights in regions where they've never occurred, unusual glows in the night sky, changes in the color of river water. Nature itself seems to be sending warning signs. The second sign, mass migration of animals and the beaching of marine life. An instinctive reaction of the biosphere to oncoming danger. The third harbinger Kaede names is a sharp increase in seismic activity in zones previously considered geologically stable. She predicts earthquakes in Central Europe and even on the British Isles, places where such things once seemed impossible. But the most alarming sign, she says, is the awakening of ancient viruses hidden in layers of permafrost. These microorganisms, frozen for millennia, will begin to surface and bring with them diseases humanity has never faced before. Humanity should prepare for a chemical disaster that could affect Europe. Hubert spoke of a certain cosmic event whose consequences for Earth will be irreversible. It will trigger a series of earthquakes and supervolcano eruptions, which will occur at the beginning or middle of the coming year. Along with flooding, we will witness mutations in underwater flora and fauna due to chemical pollution of water bodies. The release of poisons into the global ocean will lead to the development of new microorganisms. Mystical symbols and spiritual reboot. Kaede speaks of mysterious geometric symbols that will begin to appear in the most remote corners of nature. The Urals, Altai, Tibet, and even the North Pole, according to her, will become zones where these signs of the new era will emerge. These symbols are not just anomalies, they carry a message to the chosen. Hidden within them is the key to uniting science and spirituality, a guide for those ready to participate in the building of a new world. She calls for full readiness, spiritual, physical, material, and intellectual. In her vision, special communities begin to form islands of the future. It's the unification of people who have consciously rejected false values and found resilience through mutual support, knowledge, and living in harmony with nature. The first such communities, she says, will appear in Siberia, the Altai, and the Carpathians, and then begin to flourish all over the planet. Well, that's all I've got for today. Write what you think about this in the comments, and don't forget to support the video with a like.